And welcome into another episode of Dan Tony Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight by the usual cast of misfits. We got Mr. Dan O'Shea, Mr. Tony Casper, and of course Mr. Dan Beebe. Gents, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Feeling fine.
That is good to hear. Tony, we got you?
Yeah, wonderful.
As always, Tony, coming in as wonderful as possible. Guys, we got a jam-packed show. Last week, we didn't even deviate very much from what we were trying to do, and we went almost 2 hours. So let's get right to what we were trying to do, and we will start with the NFC South and their draft. For those of you who don't know, for the past 5 weeks, we've been breaking down the 2020 NFL Draft. We started by going over each team's biggest needs by conference, starting with the AFC and NFC East, then South, West, North. We're doing the same thing, but with our draft reactions, and we're grading each team. Last week we did the NFC East and AFC East, and I titled the episode "Draft Aftermath." And one of my friends, Jay Sannon, pointed out to me that we had a missed opportunity by not naming the episode Draftermath. So from now on, that's what it's going to be. This is Draftermath Part 2. All right? AFC...
Draftermath Dukes. Let's do it.
AFC, NFC South. We'll start with the NFC because, well, the AFC is just atrocious and pathetic, so we'll start with the NFC South. Of course, we're going to go in alphabetical order by team name. So that gives us the Buccaneers, that gives us the Falcons, then the Panthers, then the Saints. Atlanta Falcons. Now, they had themselves an odd draft, in my opinion. Just right from the get-go, K'Lavon Chaisson was still available. CeeDee Lamb was still available. You had a ton of defense. Yeturgos Matos, AJ Epinesa, both still available. You had, by the time they were drafting at pick number 16, corners, they had Jalen Johnson was still available. Gladney was available. So there was a ton of things that they needed, and they surprised people at 16 and went out and got A.J. Terrell, the corner from Clemson. I mean, I was a bit surprised because
that was shocking.
It was shocking, very shocking. Then second round pick 47, a much better pick in my opinion. Marlon Davidson, defensive end from Auburn. Then round 3, pick 78, Matt Hennessy, the center from Temple. Pick 119 in round 4, Michael Walker, from linebacker from Fresno State. Then also round 4, pick 134, Jalen Hawkins, safety from Cal. And then in round 7, so they went nearly 100 picks without making a pick from round 4 to round 7. They drafted Sterling Hofrichter, the punter from Syracuse. Now, they definitely needed help in the secondary. They definitely needed
that punter.
Yeah, they absolutely needed the punter. Right, yeah. Which is one of the things that everyone is just so goddamn confused about is, first of all, you take A.J. Terrell, who's a good corner, don't get me wrong. He's a solid player. I mean, he went to Clemson. You don't draft bad players from Clemson these past 4 or 5 years. It just doesn't happen. Except for Hunter Renfrow. Fuck him. But taking A.J. Terrell over guys like...
Why are you so mad at Hunter Renfrow? Is it because he's the same age as you?
No, I think it's because he played like 26 seasons in college football.
Okay, so you're mad he's the same age as your dad.
Exactly. No, I mean, I don't necessarily hate him so much. He just reminds me of Ben Boulware from Clemson, who I really fucking hated. So I think that's a big part of it. I don't hate Hunter Renfrow. He just reminds me of a player I do hate.
All right. Anyway,
but second round,
we're going 2 hours again.
Second round pick 47, Marlon Davidson, by far their best pick. All right, Matt Hennessy, the center from Temple, position of need, kinda. Okay, I get it. Michael Walker, the linebacker from Fresno State, makes sense. Then you take a safety, Jalen Hawkins. You only do that if you're worried that Keanu Neal isn't going to last the season. And hint, he probably won't. The dude's fragile. And then punter from Syracuse. Okay. So, personally, not too impressed with this draft. Not as bad as the Eagles and the Patriots from last week. Yeah, but Sports Illustrated, who I'm using again for the grades, Sports Illustrated gave them a B+. I'm closer to the B-, simply because they didn't take that kid from Lennar Ryan like the Patriots did. No. They're just... It lacked a wow factor, and they addressed some of their biggest needs in underwhelming fashion, and I don't think they're going to live up to where they were drafted. Like I said, the only one I really liked from the picks was the Auburn defensive end, Marlon Davidson. All the other picks I feel like were wastes.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you on the Falcons. Not on their overall grade. Well, I actually might be grading them below what you're grading them. I'm giving them about a C+. It wasn't anything good. I think Hennessy is going to be a good center. I think learning under Alex Mack is going to be really good for him. So I did like the Hennessy pick. That was probably one of their better picks in my opinion. But I'm going to fully agree with you that Terrell was a baffling pick. He was barely cracking the top 10 of cornerbacks in the draft, let alone,
and he was the third one drafted.
Player of anyone they could have taken there at number 16, and there was so much talent still on the board.
Again, K'Lavon Chason literally fell into their lap.
Yeah, and Terrell was absolutely in the title game, he was just demolished by Jamar Chase. Maybe I'm putting too much stock in that, but
I don't know many corners that aren't going to get demolished by Jamar Chase.
I mean, yeah, but if you're picking at number 16, you'd hope it's someone that could at least shut him, if not shut him down, at least keep pace with him. And there were some corners in this draft that could have, that I would have taken before Terrell.
I'm not even kidding. I've been looking at the way too early mock drafts, and 4 of the 6 that I looked at had Jamar Chase going either 1 or 2 next year.
Pretty impressive. But I am going to agree with you. I think Davidson could be a sleeper pick. He was up and down this past season. I remember in the Oregon game, he did not do very well against us. Actually, even though they did win,
they also
moved him inside because he's a little slow.
Pass rush only works if you're getting.
That, but I think he could be a good.
Well, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but pass rush only works if you have more than one person rushing the pass. So if the quarterback knows I really only need to look out for this one player, it's not a problem.
He can play interior too. So.
I don't know. To me, the Atlanta's entire draft was a little bit baffling. I mean, especially considering your division got better, and you guys are so sporadic over the board on whether or not you're going to be a team with a winning record or a team with a losing record. And to me, they didn't make the draft. They made draft picks. I feel like they were planning for the future, but not really trying to win now, which I feel like Quinn and Matt Ryan have to do.
Yeah, you've got Julio, who's getting toward the end of his career, maybe. You got Matt Ryan, who's up in his career. Yeah, you're starting running back. Over the past couple years, you lost your 2 running backs and then replaced them with a running back who's been absolutely terrible the last couple years, excuse me. So your offense isn't getting any younger, not getting any better. And, they did pretty much nothing to address that fact and, fixing that problem on defense, except Marlon Davidson, and they got a center of the future. I feel like they should have drafted a running back of the future. I feel like they should have grabbed at least one of the wide receivers if they're planning on quote-unquote future. So I feel like this was underwhelming. They're going to underperform, and they had a pretty bad draft.
Yeah, I'm giving them a C minus because just because there's one solid pick like you mentioned. I could see where you were going if you wanted to try and rebuild more, but I just don't see the logic in why you pick this way, and I don't think it's going to turn out for much, if any, improvement considering what's going on in your division.
Exactly. I feel like just changing one pick in this could have made it completely different. I would go from a B- to a B+. If you swap out A.J. Terrell with K'Lavon Chaisson. That right there would just fix almost their entire draft, in my opinion. Or if they grab CD.
I never understand these reaches like that. It just doesn't make. It's just poor planning. The time they see the timer and they panic.
Yeah, but you'd think with this much time to think about it, like, for instance, I didn't see I wasn't with you guys last week, but I didn't see the Giants picking who they did.